The Kansas City Chiefs just got the best injury update possible, and we're going to talk about it. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. Let's go, baby. It's playoff week. How we doing out there? Hope everybody's doing well. Do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Get this out to more Chiefs fans. Mike, tell them about BetUS.
This is sponsored and powered by BetUS. Check out BetUS.com today. Right now, if you use the code YouTube150, you get a 150% deposit match bonus on your first deposit. On your next two, you're going to get 125% deposit match bonuses. Those are up to $2,000, so take advantage of all those free plays while you can, baby. The site is easy to use. There's plenty of props on there. Go to BetUS.com. Use the promo code YouTube150. Steve, it's playoff time. We're running out of time to make little wagers on the Chiefs, to have a little fun with the Chiefs game, Steve. So this is it. Let's get it rolling. And today, actually, I take that back. Yesterday, we got some excellent injury news, Steve. Lots of good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the injury report. The only person limited in practice was Mecole Hardman. Like, Andy thought that Mecole Hardman was the best chance of getting back and playing. Like, he said Jalen Watson was the long shot. It just shows you, man. Andy, this guy, does he do this on purpose? Or, everybody thinks Andy's a genius. He's like, he's not giving it up. Does he do it on purpose, or does he just really, they're just like, I don't know. We ain't going to tell Andy much.
I honestly get the vibe that Andy's just that guy that doesn't really care or pay attention.
He don't care, so he just says whatever.
It's like whoever he has out there, that's what he's working with, so he doesn't keep up with it.
Right. So, so we had Shamari Connor with his shoulder, full practice. DJ Humphries, full practice. Obviously, Mahomes' ankle, McDuffie, Pacheco, blah, 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 full practice. The one that is, there's two. Chris Jones at the bottom with the calf says full practice, which we thought that was going to be a thing. Like, he had to set out for the last 2 or 3 weeks because you didn't want to make that like a bigger problem than it was. And then the Jalen Watson on IR with the ankle and the surgery, full practice.
Jalen
Watson with the full practice, Steve. People can simmer down now. Will he be able to play this week? It kind of looks like he's trending that way. They could pull him off the IR. Let's listen to what the team had to say about it. Trent McDuffie and Justin Reed talked about it.
It's huge. I mean, Jalen's one of those guys in this DB room that has a lot of energy. When you see him on the practice field, he's dancing, he's smiling. So great to get guys coming back from injury,
he's
whether
smiling in profile.
It's been 2 weeks or 2 months. I think he's doing really well.
He's been grinding away. You can tell the work that he's put in this this recovery period for him because he's been on the field and he's been flying around and he's looked really good. So I'm excited for him to be back and glad that it wasn't something that has held him back too much.
Dude, it's looking good. It's looking good for Jalen Watson. He's moving. He's shimmying, he's shaking, he's locking down wide receivers, maybe. We don't know what's happening there. We're going to get to see more as the week goes on, but are you pretty excited about the Jalen Watson thing? Because I think this should almost secure – there might be one other point of emphasis on this team, and that's the tackle position. I'm sure we'll talk about that today. But besides the tackle, the CB2 was the other big thing that was the focus of the entire season, and it looks like Jalen Watson took that role early. He excelled in it. He got injured. We had a setback. But that also brought up a lot of guys like Najee, Joshua Williams, got some confidence under their belts, got them some PT. And now you're going to get Jalen Watson back for a Super Bowl, so for a three-peat run. So What do you think about it?
I mean, it's good, right? I mean, that's the only way you can look at it. This is excellent news. Jalen Watson started off the year hot. He looked really good. He's one of the best corners in the entire league before the injury occurred. Joshua Williams has kind of turned it on in the last few weeks. People kind of turned the corner on that whole thing. Everyone hated him at first. Even Spags hated him, wouldn't put him on the field. Talked about all of the penalties and this and that. But really, I mean, when he's on the field, Joshua Williams is getting the job done. He looked pretty good, big, physical, fast. It's nice to have out there. But Jalen Watson is a step ahead of him. So if Jalen Watson can get back out there and be healthy, then by all means, let's do it. And it's just more depth for the team. We'll take everything we can get right now on this three-peat run.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you go back and look, there's not the hugest disparity between the numbers of Jalen Watson when he played games 1 through 7. He didn't play in week 6, obviously, but in games 1 through 7 minus week 6, he actually played 221 snaps in coverage. and he scored a 74 grade. It's a 74.2 according to PFF. That was his coverage grade. Josh Williams is at 282 coverage, so he's actually played 60 more snaps in coverage because of the injury. And 74.2, Joshua Williams is at a 68.3. So there's not much drop off there. Josh Williams only allowed 33 targets to Josh Williams. He's only allowed 20 catches for 196 yards and 1 touchdown all year. So he's under 200 yards and a tutty. I've seen DBs give up that in a game. Okay. And then going back to Jalen Watson, out of 221 coverage snaps, he's give up 15 catches for 192 yards. 0 touchdowns, obviously. So there's 1 touchdown disparity, 192 yards off 15 targets. So, yes, Josh Williams on 60 more snaps has give up 5 more catches off 60 snaps. But the yardage differential is 196 to 192. It's pretty similar. Now, the only difference is, because you can't just go off stats, obviously. That's not a thing. The only difference is that Jalen Watson tends to be a guy that he brings that physical, imposing, nature of football to where sometimes I don't feel like even quarterbacks want to test him. And it doesn't seem like they really want to test Josh Williams either. I don't know what the deal is there. Like, a lot of people think Josh Williams is just, he's mid. He's never going to do this, never going to do that. But quarterbacks did not test him much. It's obvious. He's only give up 5 more catches, off like 60-some more targets. There's not much there. He plays the ball. He's a ball hawk kind of guy. Like, he's going to do that, which means you're also going to get burned a little bit. You're physical. He's big and physical. I think he may be a little more physical than Jalen Watson, actually. That's going to cause the penalties, right? You're going to get some of those weird little ticky-tacky hands to the face. You're going to get some of those stupid defensive holding things.
Very, very L'Jarius Sneed-esque, right?
Right.
I mean,
so
that's what
Sneed
you got.
did
A lot of penalties, a lot of catches let up. I mean,
right.
It's a similar style.
I want to say Jalen Watson probably had 2 penalties in his, games, and Josh Williams is somewhere around like 6, I think, on just defensive. Now, I know he's got like probably 3 or 4 more on special teams. That has no bearing on his CB2. But, yeah, 6 penalties to 2, that could be your differential there. But, I mean, look how minuscule that is. And everybody was kind of just, like, freaking out over that. We're
right.
like, it's not that big of a deal. Now, Najee Johnson's been another story. That poor guy struggled this year.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say, man. Let's talk about what this means for this Texans game, because that's what's at hand here. Are we going to get Jalen Watson back to play in this Texans game, and how much will he actually play? I mean, we're going against a wide receiver core that consists of Nico Collins, Robert Woods, John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson. They did waive Deontay Johnson yesterday.
So they went wild.
Dude, it's crazy. That guy just must be a complete horse's ass. That's the only thing I can figure. Nobody wants him anywhere near him. So good-looking Brett Veach at not trying to get Deontay Johnson's dumbass over in Kansas City. So that's a great thing. A lot of people wanted Deontay Johnson. We ended up with D-Hop. And it's like, think of how south that could have went. But instead you have a Hall of Fame wide receiver instead. But, yeah, I mean, not the craziest receiving core in the world. They did have Tank Dell go down for the season, stuff like that. But Nico Collins is arguably one of the most productive, one of the best receivers in the entire football league. And he can get away from you real quick. So in a game where you got a guy like that on the field, Mike, isn't it a good thing to have a cornerback back in the action, even if it is coming back off an injury? We know that Jalen Watson can play at a high level, and also how, doesn't that affect the depth chart a little bit to where you mentioned Najee Johnson. Najee Johnson's had a rough go at it, man. He's just been getting absolutely torched, and maybe this keeps him off the field or limits how much he's on the field, and they can't take advantage of that.
Right. That's what it's going to do. I don't think Jalen Watson's going to come back and play just like every single snap. I'm not seeing that happen. I think he will have to get his legs back under him in game shape somewhat in game situations. But Josh Williams has done a really good job. I mean, he's done a pretty good job, and there's not been a lot of people on his side. And you know how tough that is in football. If you're struggling with confidence or you're struggling with this or struggling with that, and then everybody seems to be against you, a lot of good players will put that in as motivation and take it up a notch. And I think he kind of did that. And to his credit, I think he fought through it. Najee, to his credit, he's done that as well. He's taken a lot more hate, maybe deserved as from a football standpoint, but I mean, if you start attacking the dude's like family and his life just for a football mistake or something, that's a little wild. But not saying that happened, but it can get to that point. We've seen crazy stuff like poor Kadarius Toney. He had a rough go of it. But yeah, I think he's even Najee to a certain extent. If there has to be a play to be made, I honestly would trust Najee to do a decent job of it. Now, I would be like, okay, so if they take that deep ball on Najee 10 times, he's probably giving it up 50-50. But if you say that against Jalen Watson, I'm like, you probably give that up maybe, 2-3 times? So even 20 and 30% is a big, big difference coming to the playoffs in these minuscule, it's win or go home. Every play counts now. It's not anything where you can take time off. You can't be evaluating this and evaluating that. Like, you've got to go with your best players at your best positions, and they got to play. And they got to perform. And I think you get that with Jalen Watson coming back.
Absolutely. Mike, you hear that gifted membership train rolling in here. Old Pops is in the house with 5 gifted memberships. Mike, you stole one of those, so you're going to have to give one away. You know how this goes.
One.
Yeah, you stole it. You got one.
Oh,
you got a gifted
because I was
membership.
logged in looking
Now
at the
you
chat.
must,
There we are.
Hey, now you must, pay it forward, sir.
Okay. I'll do that.
Brian Parrott said you snagged his membership. Appreciate you, old man. If y'all got those memberships, make sure to thank Pops in the chat. Also, do us a favor real quick, no matter what platform you're watching on. Here on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button. Share it with your friends and family. If you're watching on X, make sure to repost this out to your followers. But yeah, Mike, we have a playoff game this week. So it's go time. Time to make a run for that three-peat, man. It's going to be tough. A lot of people, overly confident almost. Like, oh, it's already a wrap. We're talking about the winning 4 in a row. And it's like, you know what? We got to take care of what's at hand right now. A three-peat, 3 in a row has never been done before in the history of the NFL. No matter which, there's been a lot of dynasties out there. None of them been able to achieve this. It's not going to come easy. And you know how it is week in and week out. We've seen it this season. You get everyone's best shot. Everyone's playing their best game. And things don't always go your way, but you got to find a way to win. I think it's going to be just like that in the playoffs. It's not going to be a walk in the park, man. These are going to be tough, grinded out games, and the Chiefs have got to find ways to win. And I think we're going to see it early on with the Texans this week because the Texans, they haven't had the greatest season. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. C.J. Stroud's kind of took a little bit of a step back. Everybody's figuring him out just a little bit after his rookie season. But they're still a good football team. They have a good defense, and they can score. Look what they did to the Chargers in the second half. The Chargers were the number 1 scoring defense in the entire National Football League, and they romped them. So, yeah. I mean, the Texans can play. And thank God we got some home field advantage. We're going to be in Arrowhead. It's going to be cold. They're a team from Houston that plays indoors, so that's a little bit of a home field advantage there. We're getting healthier. We're still getting healthier as a team. Like right now, Mike, everyone practiced. Even if McCole Hardman was limited, everyone on the team practiced. The only significant injury that you can really think of that's just obvious is Rashee Rice is out for the season, right? You didn't get him back. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, otherwise, very, very healthy. And it's go time. The Chiefs have looked as good as they've looked all season in the last few games. So how do you think these 20-plus days off is going to affect the team? A lot of people's worried about some rust.
Yeah, they're professionals. They've been here before 1,000 times, especially Mahomes. I don't think the game didn't get faster, like nothing like that. I think you've seen it in our injury report, what 20-plus days off can do for you. This team is as healthy as it's been all season just about. You only got a few key pieces that are still not playing. I guess you could count McCole Hardman as a key piece and Watson as a key piece until they are reinstated from the IR. I mean, they are trending in the right direction. But, you're going into the playoffs with Kelsey at full strength. Last year, he was nursing some kind of an injury late in the season. Mahomes' ankle, we're now weeks behind that, and hopefully that is going to be fine going forward. But he's had time to maybe recover from that to the best of his ability. Kareem Hunt has now had several weeks. Pacheco had that little, rib injury a couple weeks ago. That should be settled down. I feel like this entire team should be getting super healthy right now. And besides, like the Rashee Rice, like you're probably not going to see him, obviously. But other than things like that, this team looks really. This is the best team Patrick Mahomes may have front to back that he's ever had with the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
I
I
don't
think if
care
you just
what-
look at it player for
Yeah.
player on the roster, for sure.
I don't care what the point differentials were this year. I don't care how close some of the games were, how undominant we looked at times. You still have to put into perspective that at one point we had 16 guys on the IR. You're playing with receivers out of position. Nobody's running proper routes. You played with Hollywood Brown. That was your big-time offseason acquisition. He didn't even get to play till late in the season. You're constantly playing musical chairs with your offensive line and your left tackle specifically. Like, there's so many things there that if you put another quarterback in the same situation that Patrick Mahomes was in, they're going to have the same amount of struggles. And Patrick Mahomes' struggles seem to be disappearing. And a big point of that was to take care of that left side with Joe Tooney coming in at left tackle. That seems to have been a turning point that let Mahomes settle down a little bit, that caused the offense to mesh along with getting back Hollywood Brown. There's several things here, but I do believe that all this time off, everything is getting the Chiefs to play their best football at the right time. Like, you've seen it with Pittsburgh this past week. They got trounced, and because they started the season hot and then ended the season trending the wrong way. We're doing the exact opposite, which is what you got to do right now. You got to get hot at this time, and I think the Chiefs are playing their best football.
Absolutely, man. I think that's very apparent. If you've watched the Chiefs all season long, it was a long first 3 quarters of a season, wasn't it? I mean, it was a lot of wins. Couldn't complain about that. The only loss that they took all season long essentially was just to Buffalo. But yeah, a lot of the games were very, very close, grinded out. They were ugly. Wasn't fun to watch. They give you anxiety. Sometimes you just didn't even want to watch it. Sometimes you look over and Pops would be playing slot machines on his phone instead of watching the game. It was that bad, man. But they still were finding ways to win. But the last few weeks, like I mentioned earlier, they started, trending up. The offense started moving a little more efficiently, and Patrick looked more comfortable. I think that came with Joe Tooney sliding over to left tackle. And it just been like a rotating door of failures at left tackle all season long, even to the point where they got DJ Humphries. They went and signed him. Everybody got super horned about it. And then he plays for half a game, 3/4 of a game, gets injured, hasn't played since. He didn't play that great then. No knock to him. He was coming off of a long injury and had a little rust to knock off. But here we are again. And now, while we're on that subject, a lot of people talking about that, Mike. Does it really make sense for them to put him back out there and try to get him to knock the rust off just because he is a real left tackle? That's the argument that seems to be. Oh, Joe Tooney needs to be at left guard because he's an all-pro left guard, and he's a real left tackle. He's a big boy.
Hey, well,
look, man, it's wild to me. Joe Tooney's been lights out over there at left tackle. He shut down the 2 best pass rushers in the entire league, blanked them. And we're talking about how he shouldn't be over there. I don't understand it. I just think you don't fix what's not broken.
Well, you can have your opinion, okay, and other people can have their opinion. It's completely fine. Nobody's wrong. You're going to find out if somebody's wrong. If the Chiefs were to go back to, to Humphries and he struggles and we get our butts bounced out of the playoffs, you're going to find out you're wrong. If you play Tooney and he struggles and it's all because of Caliendo on the inside and blah, 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 whatever they say, you'll find out you're wrong. So we may find out we're wrong. I hope nobody gets to find out we're wrong because I hope we just win no matter what we do. So it is what it is. But when we talked about this Monday, the only thing that we kept seeing on comment after comment after comment after comment is nobody cared what we thought. Nobody valued our opinion. They just told us what a few other people said and why we were wrong. And it's cool. And Seth Kaiser's name popped up a lot. I like Seth Kaiser's name. Okay, I'm not studying his work. He does good work, but I'm not studying it. I don't really care what he says. And that's not a knock against Seth Kaiser. I just don't want to be the guy that mimics everybody else. Like, I see it the way I see it. He sees it the way he sees it. I'm sure 99% of people value his over mine. That's cool. It comes with the territory. We're the new kids on the block. Nobody likes us. It's cool. It's fine. I'm going to go ahead and stick with what works, and I can debunk everything Seth Kaiser said. Carter Price from Arrowhead Addict or Arrowhead Pride, one of those today, wrote the same article where he mimicked exactly what Seth Kaiser said, word for word, talking about the run game's lacking and this and that and everything else. I can go back and debunk every bit of that point for point right now. I could waste 20 minutes. I could waste my breath. I could waste my time. Nobody will listen. Nobody will care, and they'll still tell me I'm wrong. So I don't care. I would prefer to have Tooney and Caliendo. I would prefer to see what works. I don't understand the arguments, Steve, that they're saying. The run game was better with blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's not.
Look, man,
It's
that's
just
no offense to anybody, but it's just overthinking it. It's trying to sound smart. It's trying to sound like
that's exactly
you know
what
I'm
it
saying?
is.
It's not about that. It's about what's working. Travis Kelce himself said it best. Like, we already figured that puzzle out. Like, we figured out that we put the pieces together. We figured that puzzle out. All year long, they've been trying to figure out how to protect Patrick Mahomes, get him more comfortable in the pocket. And all of a sudden, at the drop of a hat, they do figure it out. So why in the hell would you mess with that when you're starting the playoffs? You have 3 games to play. 3 games to go out there and win to make history. And you're talking about rolling the dice on a guy that just come off of a 1.5-year injury, got injured in his first half of a game, and then came back out and played against the Denver Broncos in the final week of the season. Didn't look that great. Patrick Mahomes is comfortable right now with what he's got. We figured out how to make him comfortable. Let's keep it there. I'm with Kelce. I'm with everybody. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about?
This is the entire argument over that. Okay.
Oh, because if he's bad, we can move Joe Tooney over.
Yeah,
is that
I
what you're
understand
gonna say?
that. But
that's
you don't want to do
stupid,
that.
though. Why do you want to start the game off on the?
This is
on
the
a
whole
bad...
reason. These are some of the points that people are making for the whole DJ Humphries. Okay. This is the point. Joe Tooney was mediocre at best. Okay. Joe Tooney is mediocre at best at left tackle. So Joe Tooney went up against Myles Garrett, and he allowed 10 total pressures on the day, but 0 sacks. He goes up against Houston and their pass rushers. That was the first time he'd ever played. Houston, he settles in 4. He goes from 10 to 4, 0 sacks still across the board. His PFF grade goes from, a very mediocre versus Cleveland at a 44. That's the first time you play left tackle and you're going up against Myles Garrett predominantly. Anybody's going to struggle there. He jumps that by 20 points going against more elite pass rushers because he got comfortable in Houston. He goes up to a 63.5. Against Pittsburgh, against TJ Watt, maybe the most elite pass rusher in the game, defensive MVP candidate guy. He puts up a 68.2, his highest. So every time he's going out there, he's getting better. He allows 0 pressures. He blanks them on the board. Zeros, no hurries, no hits, no sacks, no pressures for Tooney. Okay, so you can look at any PFF grade you want. And again, I use PFF a lot. The thing about PFF is it confirms what you see. Yes, it confirmed that we seen that Joe Tooney got more comfortable and he got better the longer he went. So then people want to go on to, Patrick Mahomes. He had to get rid of the ball. They're changing the offense. You need Patrick Mahomes to get rid of the ball.
Why the offense looked better. Exactly.
Exactly. You don't hold the ball in this league. So look, do you remember Terry Bradshaw being on Fox saying that the Chiefs can't win the Super Bowl because Mahomes is holding the ball. He's not holding the ball long enough. And everybody threw a fit. And they said, what does that have to do with winning the Super Bowl? But yet now you're using that same logic to tell us why Joe Tooney shouldn't be playing left tackle.
I mean, Mike, it's apparent to me. Like, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback to ever play. Like, Tom Brady.
He's getting rid of the ball, Steve, at
great.
2.8 seconds.
Patrick Mahomes, another level. And here's the thing about it. We know from experience. We've been watching Patrick Mahomes since he was a wee little lad coming into the league, right? When does Patrick Mahomes struggle the most? When he's pressing. When Patrick Mahomes is pressing and trying to do too much, that's when he struggles. Well, guess what? If you're letting him hold on to the ball for 3.5 seconds every play and he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off, he can make magic happen once or twice a game. But you don't want him doing that all the time. Like, he's looked so much better in the last couple of weeks, just doing what he's supposed to do, running the offense, getting rid of the ball in a sufficient amount of time.
He's getting rid of the ball
crazy.
faster. His stats must be going down, right? No. His NFL QBR rating has been 2 of his highest 4 games of the season have come in week 16 and 17. So obviously he felt more comfortable. We watched it with our own eyes. Everybody could see it. Everybody in Chiefs Kingdom talked about how much better we looked finally with Joe Thuney shoring up that left tackle situation. But yet now we want to outsmart ourselves. Patrick Mahomes puts up a 127.1 versus the Steelers. His highest QBR he's had all year. Okay. But he's getting the ball out too fast. That's not good. What's he doing with yardage? 320 yards. He had the highest passing total he had. So it doesn't matter that the ball's coming out faster. He put up 320 yards. But take away the New Orleans Saints game in week 5. Okay, that was his highest pass total of the year. His yards per average, the highest on the year, minus the first game of the year against Baltimore and then New Orleans again. So there's nowhere along the board. 3 touchdowns. That matched his high on the season. 0 interceptions. He hasn't had a single pick since Thuney's been playing left tackle. So the point is Thuney's getting better. Patrick Mahomes is not slacking. Patrick Mahomes is getting better. Patrick Mahomes' QBR is going up. His yards are going up. His yards per attempt is going up. Please explain to me how holding on to the ball longer helps him.
A lot of people don't like stats. They don't want to go by stats. I see it. I'm watching it. It passes the eye test. If you can't tell Patrick Mahomes has been more comfortable the last few weeks, then you're just not paying
Peter,
attention.
you're spot on right here, too, because 2.8 seconds, people are crying about that. Patrick Mahomes only holding the ball for 2.8 seconds. It's the fastest of his career. I've heard 2.5. I've heard 2.6. Do you want to know what Patrick Mahomes' time to throw in the Super Bowl was last year that we won? It was 2.8. Do you want to know what it was in the year we won versus the 49ers the first time? It was about 2.8. You can't hold the ball much longer than that. The longest guy in the league this year is Lamar Jackson at 3.
That's because he's a running back.
Exactly. He's constantly moving and shimmying in the pocket, but still 2.8 to 3? That's this.
Right.
It's that. Nobody cares. Like, there's no such thing as keeping the ball longer in the pocket. What are you waiting for? The play to develop? It doesn't make sense.
Yep. Let's get to the chat, Mike. We got Peter Ortiz with 25 bomb. Let's go, Peter. Appreciate the support, my man. You all show him some love in the chat. Put some
Appreciate you, Peter.
Put some legendaries in the chat for our boy Peter. We got Troy with the 5 bomb. Says, you guys are the best. I appreciate your take on the game. You tell it how it is and don't give a crap about who you piss off. Keep up the good work. Thanks for the guest, Troy. I mean, can you really worry about that? I mean, I guess you can.
You can worry about it, and I'm not trying to piss nobody off, but the point is like, you know, I take everybody's opinion. I value it. I'll watch, you know, we'll watch Cole. I'll read Seth Kaiser. I'll watch RG. It's cool. We all do the same. Now, we don't make a habit of it because you don't want to be the repeater. We just don't want to spout off what they're spouting off. What's the point? You can go watch them. If we're going to repeat what they do, if we're an echo, we'll just be called all echoed up. I'm not doing it. So I'm going to give you my honest opinion of how I see things. So it's just one of those things where, like, okay, so today I'm harping on Carter Price from Arrowhead Addict, and I'm sorry, it's not about that. Like, I'm not just trying to single him out. But the point is he wrote this new article today, and he comes out and he's spouting off the same stuff. And he says, well, the running game got worse. Okay? And we'll take, you know, I'll get back to the comments in a second, but we didn't talk about the running game. But Carter Price says the running game got worse. And I'll bring up the thing for you really quick so you know I'm not BSing you. Let me find it. I'll bring it up right here. Here we are. So you can see this. The running game got worse. And this is what he says. Chiefs rushing yards per game week 1 through 8, 122.3. Chiefs rushing yards per game 9 through 17, they got 98. Did Joe Thuney and Mike Caliendo start playing left tackle and left guard on week 9?
Right.
So why are you showing 122 from week 8 to 9 through 17, week 9? You're showing 98 to 123. Joe Thuney and Caliendo didn't start playing left tackle and left guard on week 9. Okay? So you can't use those. See how they're manipulating you to into saying, oh, the run game was better, and now it's not as good. They didn't start on week 9 through 17, Steve. You want to know when they started? They started on week 15, 16, and 17. And you want to know what our rushing yards were those weeks? 132, 124, and then against Pittsburgh, we didn't run the ball but 20 times. So it went down to 69. Okay. So they struggled against Pittsburgh just a little bit. You can't find a 3-game stretch hardly any better than that right there. You'd have to go back to the first. You'd have to go to week 4, week 5, and week 7 to find a better 3-game running stretch right there. And it's still minimal. It's still only about 5 yards. You can't find a yards average better. I want to say it's like 3.4. You can't find a better average in a 3-game stretch hardly unless you go back to those 3 games. You just can't do it. So what is the point of putting out a stat like this and saying that Joe Thuney and Mike Caliendo cost us more in the run game, and then your stats are weeks 9 through 17? That's manipulation, Steve. That's all that is. That's manipulation.
Yeah.
So you can't use that.
No, I totally agree.
I'm just stating the fact. Like, that's not right. It's just not right. If you look at what Thuney and them did, they put up decent run numbers, and not just decent, but good run numbers. They put up, honestly, like, good yardage. 132, 124, and 69. And, of course, against Pittsburgh, you didn't have to run the ball as much, and they didn't run the ball as much. It's just odd to me. I don't understand the whole, like, why we're making something out of nothing here with this fictional battle over left tackle. It's just like, let Andy decide.
Yeah, I mean, he very well could go with DJ Humphries.
Yeah,
we'll see.
He very well could, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
It's pretty
You
wild.
can debunk every one of these arguments that these people have made, and I'm not saying they're right and I'm right, they're wrong, I'm right. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that no matter what you do, you can debunk the argument for either direction. So I think at the end of the day, we're arguing, we're nitpicking over something that the coaches will decide. And what's the point of everybody fighting at each other, being like, you guys suck, go read Seth Kaiser? I heard that about 7 times, dude. Like, it's not a battle. I'm not trying to fight Seth Kaiser. I like Seth Kaiser.
But which team does he coach in the NFL?
Like, people do that all the time.
I want to know that, too.
They think that we all, like, fight each other. I don't dislike Seth Kaiser. I don't dislike Cole. We don't do none of this. I don't dislike anybody. But I'm not going to parrot exactly what they say and then try to pass it off as my own. Right?
And they're never going to rage as hard about stuff as you. So you're just not the same people.
It's just not a rage. It's just more of a, I feel like a lot of, like, there's just a recency bias and an echo chamber that gets started. And there's a few people at the top, and they didn't ask for it. Maybe they did. I don't know. But whatever they say is just the word of God. And then anybody else that has an opinion, I got mad. The people told me they were mad because I had an opinion and I said their opinions were wrong. And it's like, you're telling me my opinion's wrong because it's not Seth Kaiser's. But I'm like, I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Like
Casey
Seth
Lion
Kaiser.
Squad with a 2 bomb says Thuney and Humphries will be in rotation. I don't know. I don't have a clue what they're doing.
I don't know what they're going to do either, honestly.
They've kind of kept their cards close to their chest. Another 2 bomb from Casey Lion Squad says, I agree with y'all. Keep what's working. Thuney at left tackle. The only glimmer of anything that we've got from that was from Travis Kelce when it was brought up. And if you kind of piece together what he says we already figured that puzzle out. We finally figured it out. So that's telling me, Mike, if that meant the way he meant it to come off is they figured out the left tackle position. So why would they change it up?
Well,
it sounds like to me.
Well, maybe he means they got DJ Humphries back playing too. So, I mean, that could go different ways.
I suppose, but I guess we'll find out. Kevin Anderson with the 2 bomb says, are either of you going to be there Saturday?
I wish.
No,
But
no,
yeah,
sir.
we're not going to be able to be there.
Nope, can't make the 8-hour trek to go to the game. God, how much are playoff tickets in Arrowhead now? Just regular tickets are bad enough.
I bet you the playoff tickets are going pretty high.
I would say so.
You know, it's going to be a fun game. I feel like it might be cold. It's probably going to be really cold. At least they took away the snow option, didn't they?
I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to the weather.
Who knows?
Well, either way, it's just, like I said earlier, it's kind of a home field advantage for the Chiefs, even if Michael Flores with the 8 months membership says, how about a pay-per-view, Steve versus Josh Allen and Mike versus Seth?
I don't
Hey,
want to.
I don't think Seth Kaiser wants to be on Josh Allen's team. Okay?
No.
I'll say that.
It's just, I mean, I'll say it one more time. I know this is all in good fun. I really don't have a problem with nobody, and it's not. I don't hate Seth Kaiser because he thinks that DJ Humphrey should play, but at the same time, when he writes that, and then I tell my opinion, you can take whichever side you want, and you're going to make arguments for whichever side you agree with, right? But that don't make the other side wrong in a way. Like I don't hate Seth. Like it was very much insinuated that like you should go read Seth Kaiser, man. And it's like, well, what made Seth Kaiser God's gift to the world? Does he coach for the Chiefs? Like I love his work, but what's he do? Like the only guy I know in this space that's actually even suited up for the Chiefs is Jason Dunn, and everybody kind of just don't listen to him. They fight with him 24/7, and I'm like, I don't get it. This dude's actually put
It is
the
kind of
uniform
funny,
on.
isn't it? Great though. Like
It cracks me up.
Off subject a little bit, but it cracks me up that people that watch YouTube, they're just like fans, never played a snap in their life, will argue with Jason Dunn about things sometimes. Like they know more about the NFL than he
Dude,
does.
I've never played a snap in the NFL, and if Jason Dunn looks at me in the face and tells me that DJ Humphries is the best option, then I'll
you
be
would
like,
listen,
okay,
right?
you win, I guess.
But you would at least consider it. You would listen to him.
I think he might be in favor of DJ Humphries, actually.
I don't know. I haven't watched any of their stuff.
I mean, honestly,
lately.
just because you play for
I'll
the
have to go
Chiefs
check that out.
doesn't always make him right. But I mean, you have to almost respect it. Like he's put the uniform on. I've had to buy the jersey from Fanatics to put it on.
Casey Lions squad with another 2 bombs says, I thought Reed said Tooney and DJ would rotate. I don't know. I didn't see that particular comment that you're talking about, but
Oh no, I seen it. But I thought he just meant in practice. That's what I thought. I thought he meant for the rest of the week they're going to rotate them out and see what they think.
I think the only rotating there needs to
that wrong
be.
too.
I just don't. Here's my honest opinion about it, Mike. You can go which way ever you think, but I legitimately think that if you start DJ Humphries at left tackle, that you will have to move Joe Tooney over there by the end of the game, and then you're just disrupting the entire flow of the offensive line and the flow of the offense. When you could have just start Joe Tooney at left tackle and get all the bullshit out of the way. Start the game off on the right foot. It's been working. It worked the first time you played the Texans. Like, I don't understand why you throw in a variable that you don't have to throw in. It's just wild to me. Like, why roll the dice when you don't have to?
Isn't it risk reward? So you're saying, okay, look, you get.
What's the reward?
Well, here's the reward.
Is Joe Tooney going to be bad?
No, but the reward is that you get your all-pro left guard back. And that they would rather have a left guard all-pro and a mediocre left tackle than a mediocre left tackle and a mediocre left guard too. Because they're saying that Joe Tooney's playing left tackle at a mediocre position. They're saying that
because Patrick's getting sacked so much.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, so his numbers may look mediocre, but look, at some point you got to watch. It's got to be the eye test. Look, every Chiefs fan that watched games this year knows that offense and that offensive line looked a lot different with Joe Tooney playing left tackle. I don't care what the numbers say. Am I right or am I wrong?
I think it's pretty obvious, Mike. It's been obvious.
There's been certain people wanting Joe Tooney to play left tackle for years now. And now that he's doing it, they're trying to kick him out.
Yeah. Damo, been a member for 8 months now, says when I watched that take on Cole's channel, I turned it off after I heard him. To be honest, never heard of him. Why would you fix something that isn't broke? So, I mean, Seth Kaiser, he's been around for a while. He's a good guy. He does good work. He says a lot of things that we agree with. This one, just not so much. Just to be clear for the 80 millionth time, but Mike gets I think Mike's more irritated with the fact that everyone's parroting it. Like it's like sheep, like this guy said it, so it must be true. It's not. I mean, look, Damo has a different opinion, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm right there with you. Just think you don't fix what's not broken. It just doesn't make sense to me to throw in another variable right here in the playoffs. Why even take the risk? You know what you got with Joe Tooney and Caliendo. You've seen it for the last month and a half. But you throw DJ Humphries in there, and it's maybe this could work. Why? It's wild to me. Mike, I hear the train rolling in again. Peter Ortiz with the 5 gifted memberships. What a freaking legend. Y'all thank him in the chat if you get one of those. And show him some love in the chat. Y'all put some legendaries in the chat for Peter. Doing the Lord's work on this fine Wednesday morning. What about it? But if you're just rolling in here, we appreciate you. Good morning. It's playoff week. Chiefs will be facing off the Houston Texans on Saturday. Getting this 3-peat bid rolling.
Ooh,
do your boys a favor.
Steve.
No, it can't. Do your boys a favor. Hit that like button. Help get this out to more people. Also, If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button and hang out with us more often, especially if you're a Chiefs fan and you're not subscribed to All Chiefed Up, then what the hell are you doing with your life? That's what I'm asking.
Steve, some guy said we're offensive, though. They said we offended them. They blocked our channel, is what I heard, over our last video and said that we offended them. And that was a video in which we didn't try to offend anybody.
Yeah.
So
Mike,
we must be
look,
so offensive that even
Hey.
in the times of not offending, we offend.
well, let me just say this.
What was so offensive about our last video?
If you're watching and you think we're offensive, or if you're watching and you think, what could they do to be offensive? Then just wait, because it's going to get bad right after this ad.
Today's show is sponsored by Manta Sleep Mask. You got to check this out. We weren't big believers in sleep masks. I thought they were going to be too big, too hot, too bulky, but Manta Sleep Mask changed that perception for me. These sleep masks are so comfortable. You can change the cup around your eye and find a custom fit. That way the mask finds your comfortability. With these pillows around your eyes, you feel zero pressure. And with a 100% blackout technology, you can go to sleep anytime, day or night, no matter how erratic your sleep schedule is. You can go with the sound mask, the pro mask, the silk mask, or just the sleep mask. You should go check out their website by clicking the link we have provided for you in the description below and read up on which option sounds best for you. But regardless of which mask you choose, use our code ACU10 at checkout and receive a 10% discount that we have secured through Manta Sleep for you, Chiefs Kingdom. Again, go to the description, find the link, find the mask you want to try out, use code ACU10 and get yourself some of the best sleep you've ever had in preparation of this long football season.
Do it. Get down in the description and check out Manta Sleep. Mike, I kind of lied to everybody. I don't have anything offensive. I just wanted them to stick around till after the ad.
I was wondering what you were talking
Hey,
about.
you know,
I was
just-
like, why are you going to do that so
You know,
offensive?
sometimes I take a different approach, and I'm like, guys, like, we appreciate you all. Manta Sleep helps support the channel, so if y'all could just stick around, we'll be back. Hang out with us. I wasn't begging today. I just lied to them. I said I'm going to do something crazy, but I'm not.
Dang.
I didn't do it.
I think
Sorry.
I've lost all trust in you right now.
Got to watch out, man. Got to watch these. There's snakes in the grass everywhere.
Yeah. And they're wearing glasses and a Chiefs hat.
I could have been
wants.
like humping the back of my chair when the ad cut off or something like
You
that.
could
you
have.
know?
I was waiting
Like
for
Beavis
it. I
style.
thought you were going to give him the suck it or something. I didn't know what you were going to do. It was
Well,
crazy.
I don't want to be a liar, so I guess I could at least do that.
Suck it! Suck it! We got 2 words for you! Suck it!
Oh yeah. Yeah, but if you're just rolling in, we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs getting some good injury news update yesterday. Jalen Watson, a full participant in practice. Chris Jones, a full participant in practice. This defense is looking healthy. It's looking healthy. The only player on the team, Mike, that was limited was old Nicole. One
Old
catch every
Nicole.
few games, and everyone loves me, Hardman.
Hey, man, I want to see Hardman get back, though, and do. I mean, I don't know. It's possible you could need him, Like, you're not guaranteed that to get through, just because it's playoff time don't mean that, some stupid injury or
Yeah.
a hammy flares up on somebody. So it's always good. I would rather have McCole Hardman in certain situations than
Isn't it nice to be McCole Hardman, though?
others.
Like, in all honesty, can you imagine, like, at your job? What if at your job you were, like, by all metrics, an underperformer? Like, they paid you a little too much when you came in.
Your
No,
hate
no,
for
wait.
McCole Hardman is
No, I don't have
beyond.
hate. I don't have hate for him. But just imagine when the biggest thing possible can happen, it falls in your lap
Yeah.
and makes you look like you're the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got to catch the game-winning touchdown pass in the Super Bowl after a season of blah.
It's kind of like you're in a business meeting. It's like you're in a business meeting and like they're getting ready to make a negotiation and they write down the little thing on the paper and they slide it across. And they wasn't prepared. And McCole Hardman was writing out like boobies on a calculator, who's writing out the way, and they just see it and they're like, that's a perfect offer, we'll take it. And he just kind of gets it and he's like, Honestly, I was just spelling boobies.
Yeah, he's not going to tell nobody he was just spelling boobies over there.
Right, but he gets the credit for securing the biggest deal of the year. It's kind of like that. It's funny.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, great for the defense to be the healthiest they've been all season, right? I mean, I feel like around the time before we got Charles Omenihu back and the pass rush got to step up their game, we had already lost Jalen Watson. So it's like this is going to be like the full defense that we're going to see for maybe the first time this season. What better time? But yeah, it's going to be a tough game. We know that it's going to be they're going to give us their best shot, Mike. So it's good to have the defense right where we need them. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about this matchup coming up, put them in the chat. We'll kind of let you guys run the rest of this one today, and we'll take your questions. Mike, I saw in the chat. Oh, John Clifford. What's up, John? He came in possibly a little late here because he says Tooney at guard, a better running game. We talked about that, John. That's a lie. It's a lie. 2 out of the 3 games.
Wait a second. Steve just said it's a lie.
It is.
It's debunked.
If 2 out of the 3 games that combo of Joe Tooney and Mike Caliendo were on the left side, they ran for 120 plus, it's a lie. Yeah, you're going to have a 70-yard game against the Steelers.
It was look, against the Browns, 132 rushing yards. Against the Texans, 124 rushing yards. And then, of course, versus the Steelers, they only ran the ball. I want to say they only ran the ball 20 times for 69 yards. So that game was a little low. But that's not even the lowest game of the season.
What was it? 132?
132, 124, and 69. Back in, November 29th versus the lowly Raiders, we had 63. Joe Tooney was playing left guard.
So you're telling me that an average of 108.3 yards is bad? That's
Yeah, it's
bad running. That's
108.
bad for the running game?
And if you take the average for the rest of the season, I don't really know what it would be. Let me add that up. I'll get back to you. I'll take the average for the rest of the season and compare it to the 108.3.
Hey, John, I wasn't calling you a liar. I was just saying the narrative out there is a bit of a sham. But yeah, you do that math, Mike. I kind of wanted to compare that to the full season as a whole. Anyway, it should be somewhere. I don't know if we average 100 yards rushing per game though. I feel like that's got to be more.
I mean, we've had some big games rushing this year, but you got to remember all these rushing yards and stuff is also going to include like Patrick Mahomes taking out of the pocket and things like that.
Right. Ray says what's offensive is the talking heads building up the Texans defense as elite. Yeah, so that's the narrative this week as far as like mainstream media goes, or ESPN, all those guys. They're talking about the Texans defense.
The numbers are in.
So good. What do you got, Mike? And
the numbers are in. Okay, so technically they're right, Steve. 108 on the season. It was 110.
So it is worse.
So you get that huge trade off at left tackle with Wanye compared to Tooney, with no sacks in 3 weeks, which has not been done at all throughout the season. Like that would be a miracle. But you give up 2 rushing yards in a game,
1.7.
but also in a game against the Steelers, in which was one of our lowest rushing totals of the year. So
yeah. But anyway, back to the Texans defense. The media's been putting them out there as an elite defense, this and that. They're a good defense. Don't get that twisted. The Texans do have a good defense, but are they elite? I don't think I would call them elite. Total defense, they're the number 6 team in the league. They allow 315 yards per game. Their playoff average on the usual is 261, but we're going to find, that was just the one game. So we'll find out what's going to happen with the Chiefs here. So they left 261 yards against the Chargers, who failed miserably. Passing defense, it looks like the Texans, where are you at, Texans? They're number 6 in the league in passing defense. They allow 201 passing yards a game. They allowed 211 against the Chargers last week. If you want to get to the rushing thing, which everybody seems to be so concerned about if Joe Tooney were to play left tackle, the Texans are the 11th ranked team in the league. They, on average, allow 114 rushing yards per game. So on average, they allow 3 more yards than we average a game. So elite, no. You're not. You just can't. You can't put that. They're the number 14 scoring defense in the league. They're not elite. They are. I can't even put them in the top. They're not even top 5 defense. So calling them elite's just absurd.
Hey, there was one game where Tooney played left tackle and DJ Humphries did play left tackle. You know what I mean? Left tackle and left guard, rather. They played together.
Yeah.
That was his first game. But it was the Chargers. And they had 96 rushing yards, which was the 6th lowest total on the year, total. So
But see, if Joe Tooney would have played left guard the whole game,
he
it would have
did.
been out.
It was the Chargers game. Well, no, you're saying if yeah, okay. So at the
See?
very end when he left with the hammy.
Yeah. He would have got them other yards.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I'm with you, man. Look, the one thing about this matchup that I think if Houston wants to win, Houston's got to score points. Like, you've got to figure out a way to beat our defense, right? So
Yeah, of course.
In week 16, the most effective receiver by far was not Nico Collins. It was Tank Dell. Tank
Right.
Dell versus Trent McDuffie. He matched up on him. He had one target on McDuffie, and he caught one ball for 30 yards and a touchdown. That was the touchdown. So that was on Trent McDuffie right there. That was it. Tank Dell versus Josh Williams, he had one target for 6 yards. He scored a 92 against him. Tank Dell versus Drew Tranquil. Don't know why that ever happened, but one reception for 13 yards. Tank Dell was the top scorer on everybody. Tank Dell versus Najee Johnson, 2 catches, 2 targets, 36 yards. 2 first downs. So anytime Tank Dell matched up against anybody, Leo Chanel, 92. He had 1 reception, 13 yards. Tank Dell versus Jaden Hicks scored a 92. Tank Dell was the matchup nightmare on the day, okay? So Nico Collins was not. Against Nico Collins, Trent McDuffie allowed 3 catches for 5 yards. Josh Williams allowed Nico Collins to have 2 catches for 40 yards, but it's because he broke a tackle and went 15 yards after. So if he got 30 on one play because he broke a tackle and got some yards after the catch. So Drew Tranquil never matched up against Nico. Justin Reed matched up against Nico. He allowed 1 catch for -4. He hit him in the backfield. So what I'm trying to say is that Nico Collins wasn't the one that beat us the first time around and scored a lot of the points. It was Tank Dell. And now they don't have Tank Dell. Like the injury sucked, but you don't have him now.
They have like Diet Tank Dell with John Mechie. But
right. So now you will get
not
John
in the
Mechie
same
playing
planet.
more. And Nico is going to get his. I'm not trying to trash Nico Collins at all. He's a great receiver. But our guys matched up on him decently well. Did Nico Collins have to match up against? Let me find a matchup with Najee. No, he never went against Najee. Najee only went against Tank Dell and Robert Woods on the day. He did good against Robert Woods, old-ass Robert Woods, but Tank Dell kind of ate his lunch a little bit. But Tank Dell do that to a lot of people. But I think like the moral of the story is it's Nico. Like with Tank Dell gone, like now you got to shut down Nico Collins. And if you can do that, they're just not going to be able to score points. I don't think Joe Mixon is good enough to beat you all day long.
no, I mean
with
we
our
held Joe
defense.
Mixon to under 60 rushing yards last time. And
Yeah, and it's playoff time, which means Mike Pinnell, this is where he earns his paycheck, isn't it?
yeah, Jacob with the 5 bomb says, do you bring Nelson up for depth with Watson, Williams, and Johnson only playing okay? Appreciate the 5 bomb, Jacob. Sweet mustache, by the way. That's a top tier one, especially with a hat combo.
Yeah, I don't
digging
think
it.
look, it's going to take catastrophic injury or something to bring up Steven Nelson.
No, but I think I'm halfway there with you, Jacob. I think that Steven Nelson for a depth piece instead of Najee Johnson might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, I would consider that.
Nazee's been struggling with it. He's struggling with it. But Josh Williams has been playing good. To say he's only playing okay, I think
Yeah,
that's a
you can go
disservice
back
to
and
what he's
watch
been doing.
his comparison to Jalen Watson when Jalen Watson played the first 7 games with almost the exact same snap count. Their numbers are identical.
Yeah, so I think Josh Williams, that's just a narrative that's been
Isn't
going
that weird?
on. But Josh Williams
Jalen
is playing
Watson, people
pretty
were
good.
saying with possibly Jalen Watson having the best season of his career. He's took
Mm-hmm.
it up to a Pro Bowl level. And then stats show that Josh Williams is right with him. Like just on the nose, bro. Except
But Mike,
for just
it
like
don't
3 or 4
matter.
extra
I
penalties.
watched it.
And Josh
I
Williams
saw
is
it with
trash.
my own eyes. I saw it with my own
weird.
eyes.
It's odd, dude.
Jalen Watson looked like young Darrell Revis out there. Josh Williams didn't know where he was at.
Yeah, and then this is what they're going to say.
Yeah, come
You
on.
rely on PFF too much. And then you're going to tell me that Caliendo should be on the bench because his PFF scores is not very good.
Appreciate the
Like,
5 bomb, Jacob.
It's wild.
Casey Lyons scored with a 2. Says DJ at left guard, keep Tooney at left tackle. Mike Caliendo's been good, and
yeah, he's shown moments of suck, but I mean, he come out of what? Central Michigan, Western Michigan. Like this is his first chance playing.
Look,
he's gonna
I'll go ahead and say
bit.
this. I'll go ahead and say this. If you think that Mike Caliendo has not played well, then you're nitpicking. You have to be nitpicking because there's not been one time with the Tooney Mike Caliendo combo. Did I call him Pinnell a second ago? Anyway,
I don't know.
But
I don't
either
think
way,
Caliendo's even
that
allowed a sack
combo,
this year.
that combo, like I've not worried about. Like, there's not been one game where I watched it was like, man, the offensive line just really couldn't hang.
Do you realize Mike Caliendo?
It's just not been a factor, and that's what it should be. You should watch a football game and never worry about the offensive line. You shouldn't even think about that.
Yeah, do you realize Caliendo didn't give up a single pressure in his first game at left guard against Cleveland? He didn't give up a single pressure. He blanked across the board. Against Houston the first time, 3 pressures, but 0 across the board. A 96.7 efficiency grade. That's huge. That means he wins 97 snaps out of 100. Think about that. And then Pittsburgh, 4 pressures. And Patrick Mahomes got hit 1 time off of his pressure, but 4 pressures. So in 3 games starting from Mike Caliendo, and everybody's just talking about how bad he is. 7 pressures, no sacks, 1 QB hit, and his efficiency grade on the season is a 97.3, guys. That means 97 out of 100 plays, he wins. Like, what do we expect? Like, what are we expecting the guy to like? We're not gonna get everybody across the board to have hundreds. I'm sorry, but this is the NFL, Steve. There's other guys out there that make a lot of money besides if you put a Chiefs jersey on. Like, to think that every one of our players are going to play to the highest level every game is wild.
Yeah, appreciate.
We've
you,
seen
Lions
Patrick
squad.
Mahomes not play to the highest level in every game. Let's just go back and look at the Jets game from last year, right? He looked like trash for 3/4 of it.
What's his name? Zach Wilson
Zach
was out
Wilson
there tearing
outplayed
it
him half the
up.
time. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is Mahomes, the greatest guy in the world, going against a very mediocre Jets team, and he looked like that. But yet, Caliendo plays against 3 of some of the best defensive lines in football. You know how many Pro Bowlers are on the Browns? Like, is what I'm saying. He don't give up nothing. He blanks them, and somehow he's just bad. It's wild to me.
Mike, anything else going on in your head about this matchup coming up? We got a few minutes left. What do we got outside of the left tackle argument, which has consumed a lot of our episode? And we got Jalen Watson back in the secondary, so the secondary is a little beefed up. What else are we looking at? What's a big factor in this matchup coming up that you're really keeping an eye on? What do you think?
I think it's our game plan on offense. Can Reed, Nagy come up? Because Houston's going to switch some stuff up from the first time. Because honestly, our offense got going. Houston was the first game our offense got going on, to be honest. And it's because of Hollywood coming back. And in all honesty, I think he was that missing piece. And the reason is because they've said it. When Hollywood come back, now all the receivers got to go to their rightful positions and run the routes that they're most comfortable with. Yeah. So that's the thing. I do think Hollywood's got better. He's got more comfortable. He's had more practice time. So whatever adjustments they make, Hollywood should be able to counter adjust. Andy's got to counter adjust. I think you've got to get Mahomes comfortable early. Mahomes does well in the playoffs. That's not a problem. But I think the game plan has to be there. Like, you cannot shy away from the run. We have to keep using the hot hand, and that's probably going to be Kareem Hunt, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying Pacheco won't have a good game or nothing, but
Pacheco's going to have all that energy and be able to go nuts on his opportunities.
And Kareem Hunt he grinds, he gets it done. So I think you've got to rely on the run game. You can't get out of that. You can't get too cute with yourself. You can't go back to weird trick plays in the red zone. And you just got to have a purpose. Like, I feel like when the Chiefs struggle a lot on the offense and we have those days that are just very forgettable and they look really bad, is like there's no purpose to the play calling. Like, it just looks like you're throwing darts at something. It's like you got to establish something. It's got to be a run. It's got to be a quick pass game. You got to do something to get the playmakers, the hands in your playmakers. So I think if they do that, they're fine.
Yeah, Jacob with the 5 bomb says, thank you, firefighter life. Let's go. Out there doing Lord's work, Jacob. He says, I hope the coaches don't shy away from the run through the entire playoffs. Pass will be better off with solid run game.
100%.
100%. That's what Mike was just saying, man. But appreciate the support, Jacob. Mike, I think in a nutshell, I know it's obvious, but I feel like really just looking at it, the Chiefs offense, you mentioned the Texans have to be able to score on the Chiefs defense, right? Well, here's the thing about it. Realistically, even if the Texans have a good game, what's the chances of them putting up more than 30 points on the Chiefs defense? It's pretty
slim.
Pretty slim.
Not been a lot of teams do
It
that.
could happen, but it's very, very slim. So I think if the Chiefs put up over 30 points, which they've only done one time, I think, this entire season, but if they can hit that 30-point mark, I think this is easily a Chiefs win.
You know who I feel the key player out of all this is, and it's very weird to say, but offensively and defense, let's assume the offense does what they need to do. There's one player on the defense that during these 3 playoff games, if he steps up and plays at a very, very high level, not only will he be rewarded very shortly, but he silences a lot of Chiefs Kingdom, and I think he is a very key piece to the defense. Nick Bolton. I think if Nick Bolton takes over the playoffs and he has good games, which means shutting down Mixon, not allowing these cheap yards and these long third downs to be converted on our linebackers. Like, I believe if Nick Bolton has a very solid 3 games, I think the Chiefs defense flows in that direction of, like, we go from good to great with Nick Bolton playing at a high level.
Right. I agree.
And that's so weird to say that Nick Bolton may be the key. But I've done a lot of thinking about it, and I honestly think if Nick Bolton plays at a super high level, like, the defense just looks unstoppable at times.
Yeah. Well, I would counter that and say that we just need a hell of a pass rush. Like Charles Omenihu could be a big factor. He could really make a name for himself in these playoffs and stuff like that. But to finish my thought about the offensive side of the ball, if they can put up 30 points, then I think they have a damn good chance of winning. I'm talking like 90% plus chance of winning, because our defense is been very, very effective and hasn't allowed a lot of points. And to what I was getting ready to bring up, Casey Lyons squad with the 2 bomb says, I hope we unleash D-Hop, no snap count needed. I think this offense could be the best version of the offense we've seen all year long, because there are no restrictions at this point. The gloves are off. Like this secret playbook apparently Andy has that everybody likes to talk about all season long. Everybody practicing all season long, people like to talk about. Well, now they're not practicing. There's no snap count for D-Hop. There's no snap count for Kelsey. There's no snap count for nobody. It's either do or die right now. So you go out. This is the best version you got. So I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see the best version of this Chiefs offense. If they can put up 30 points, then good luck, Houston.
Julia asked in the chat how C.J. Stroud does against outside games in the cold. He did play at Ohio State, so, I mean, it does get cold up there. The only way I could really find that out is I go back and look, and in 2023, at this time of the year, he had to go to Baltimore in the divisional playoffs. Like, so how much is that cold? How much is that was Baltimore's defense? But he only completed 19 of 33 for 175 yards and no touchdowns. So he played a very mediocre game that year. This season, if you look at what he's done so far, that would be considered cold. He was at Tennessee last week, but he didn't play any snaps. I don't know how cold it was in Tennessee, and he had to go to Baltimore. No, he was home against Baltimore. So, see, that doesn't make sense. So, maybe at KC may have been the coldest game he played all year, and that was week 16, and I don't really know what the weather was. I don't feel like it was, like, below zero or anything, but it could have been. Like, wasn't that Christmas? Was the Texans game? No, that was Pittsburgh. So, that was the week before Christmas. I don't really know, but he doesn't play a lot of cold weather games. But he did in college, so I wouldn't really know. I wouldn't think any quarterback loves cold weather games because your hands get numb, your hands get dry, you can't grip the football as well, you can't feel your fingers. Patrick's a cold weather guy. He's a snow game kind of guy, so I trust Patrick.
Snow game guy.
But I don't know if I trust anybody else.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys being here with all chiefed up this morning. It is playoff week. Everybody's a little horned up. So we got to get ready for this bad boy. It's games on Saturday, Mike. So we only got a few more days. We only have a few more days. So we'll probably be doing some more content for you, whether it be more live streaming or maybe even a video or two. We'll see. But we'll definitely get back at you before that game takes place. We'll get some predictions in. We'll talk about some key matchups and things like that coming up. But thank you guys for being here. Do us a favor. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already. Shout out BetUS for powering this live stream. Also, check out Manta Sleep down in the description. And we'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.